If you want to know how to stop smoking tobacco, I think I can help. My name is Bill. I'm an ex-smoker. I quit some time ago. I urge everybody that if you smoke and you want to stop smoking tobacco, um, start by taking a step back from the whole process and think to yourself what it is right now that you really like about smoking. And then you could even make a list if you want to sit down and make a list, but at least have a mental list in your head. Then I urge you to sit down and I urge you to think about the things you don't like about smoking. And what happened to me, at least when I was still a smoker, I found that I was just captive to the next step in my day of smoking. And what I mean by this is I would get up in the morning, and one of the first things I wanted to do, like I had that need in my body to have a cigarette. So you'd have to start the day with a cigarette. And in my case, at least for a number of years before I quit smoking, I did stop smoking inside my house for my family's benefit, so I had to go outside when I smoked. And again, when you are outside, and I live in New York, so we do have winter and everything else, so that meant that you'd go out in the rain or the snow or the wind or a storm or in the dark or in the light or the early morning or the late night, and every time you have a cigarette, you would be outside smoking. So, first of all, getting up, as I said, in the morning and doing this routine, it's very difficult. And then I'm a coffee drinker. I always have. I love coffee. So I would begin drinking coffee, and then not too far into the cup of coffee, sure enough, it would be time for another cigarette. And it depended on how the day went. If I had to go to work, I would try to avoid smoking in my cars. I won't say when I was younger, I did smoke in the cars. As I got older and was a smoker, I tried to avoid smoking in the cars, especially after we got new ones. So I would have a cigarette before I started to drive to work. When I got to work, before I went into work, I would have another cigarette. And then the whole time when you're at work, you're just thinking about when the next cigarette will be. I mean, it gets crazy after a while. You're looking at your watch and you're supposed to be thinking about your work, and you're sitting there saying, man, I can go on break in 20 minutes. If I run outside and I get to the smoking area, I can puff away. Maybe I'll have 2 quick cigarettes and I'll come back in, and, then how much longer till I go to lunch and can eat and race outside, and, the process starts again. And then, of course, the same thing happens throughout the afternoon. Then when you're ready to leave work, you go outside, you have a cigarette before or while you're in your car on the ride home. Then when you get home, if you didn't smoke, you want to have another cigarette. And the process goes on. You have dinner, you eat. Every time you eat, you want to have a cigarette after, so you race outside to smoke. Maybe maybe you've had a cigarette, and then 10 minutes later you realize your favorite show is coming on in 10 more minutes. You don't really want to be interrupted, so you say, you know what, let me just have another cigarette, so this way I can smoke before the show. And again, the process repeats itself. And this happens right up until you go to bed. And of course, you want that last cigarette before you go to bed, so whatever your nighttime routine is, like you'd find me outside before bedtime having that last cigarette. And when you really start thinking about that, and again, you take a step back and you look at your life, you say to yourself, wow, boy, I am literally a slave to my smoking. I mean, I can't go any time, or I can't go any distance, or I can't, be involved in activities or anything else without the cigarette having to have the control in me. The cigarette is the next thing I need to worry about. It's not anything else. It's not my ride. It's not my job. It's not my activities. It's not what I'm going to eat. It's not what I'm going to watch. It's the cigarette. And this is crazy. So if you want to know how to stop smoking tobacco, I urge you to begin with the understanding, with the mentality, with the mindset of what's really going on here. Now, I've always been a big advocate to find a mentor, find somebody that's been there before you, somebody that's done what it is you're looking to do, no matter what it is, somebody that understands how to do whatever process or activity. Maybe you want to take a course. If you wanted to learn to paint pictures, get a mentor. Learn how from somebody that knows how to paint pictures and has taught other people, and they've been successful. I think the same thing is true when you quit smoking. I don't think you should try to stop smoking tobacco on your own. I do think you should find a mentor that's been successful and knows the ins and outs and how to make that happen. So if you want to learn how I did things, I just urge you to give a click around one of the videos. Excuse me. I urge you to give a click to one of the links around this video. I look forward to seeing you as a non-smoker. I know my program works. I literally bet my life on it. I look forward to seeing you and as a non-smoker.